When I was in Addis Ababa, we heard the plane with all the aid that was being sent out from the Bicester warehouse near Oxford was going to be coming in and landing with. And I was very lucky to be able to go up to the airport and see the aid being offloaded and loaded onto 5 or 6 trucks. And then, because I was travelling down to Dolorado, which is a place very far from Addis Ababa, it's 1 kilometre from the Somali border, we did actually pass some of our trucks on the way because it was taking something like 3 to 5 days, depending on road conditions. So we did see the trucks actually arriving, and then people offloading washstands, water tanks, piping, Oxfam buckets. And then, because we were going to be working in a new camp near Dolorado, we had to move the equipment very quickly from where it was being stored and up to the new site at Halloween. And that's about 45 minutes to an hour to drive there, so it's quite a distance. The whole area around Dolorado is very remote. It's a very harsh climate. There's a lot of wind, it's hot, very sandy, and as you can see in some of these photographs, there's a lot of rocks, not just rocks on the ground that you can move away, but quite embedded in the ground, so it's very challenging. And so we were moving the equipment up there very quickly because the plans were that the refugees were going to be moving out of a temporary transit centre and up into proper campsite for them. And Oxfam was responsible for the water systems and for public health promotion. There was a huge challenge, and it was, a race against time to get water up and running before the first refugees were transferred. And it was really amazing to just see how the team worked together. People who normally have other jobs were actually coming together to support the public health engineers to actually get this, what we call a T70, which is a water tank which holds 70,000 litres of water. And so various members of staff, like Lou here, suddenly became public health engineer assistant. One of our drivers, Abra, we found out later that he had a background in construction, and so he was putting tap stands together. I turned around another minute, he was cementing something else. I was convinced there was 4 of him rather than just the one of him. But everybody was just hands-on, and as you can see, there's all this activity, going on to get that water tank up and running. And if you look here, we use a lot of the rocks and stones to construct a plinth. So the water tank could be placed higher up so that we could get the gravity going, so that then that can run through to the tap stands, and then the rest of the tank goes up. So you can see the wall of the tank, and then the next stage was to put in the lining, which is this black sheeting, and that has to be really tied off at the end. And it is a challenge because there is all this sand, blowing about, is to try and work very quickly so that we're not getting too much sand in there. And then the last part of that is to put the top on it. And then you can see the blue pipework that goes through to the tap stands, and that's actually where people would collect water from. And, I'm really pleased to say that by the time the first refugees started to be bussed up and arrived in Halloween, there was water for them. It seems like a very simple thing, but people really did work together, worked hard, worked long hours every day, and it really was a race to get the water on. And it was just fantastic to be part of that team and to witness that achievement. And as you can see here, this is one of the first people to collect water from, the water point. And that isn't to say that it's all over with now. There's a huge amount of work still to do. But, it was Oxfam down to the wire, but it was Oxfam at its best, and I am very proud of my colleagues.